I think I struggled with the most like hate comments. And everyone tells you just not to listen to them. And that's a good advice to give, but it's kind of hard to not listen to them when it's like right in your face and it's almost every other comment. My advice for anyone would just to be, take it in order to build you. Like take what people are giving you and be like, prove them wrong almost. Like prove them wrong, get successful, and then you can like be like, guess what? I made it to the top. And yeah, I would just say prove them wrong.
Today I'm here with Hayley LeBlanc. She is an American actress, singer, and social media personality, best known for her roles in Manny and Chicken Girls, as well as her YouTube and her Instagram pages. She first rose to fame as one of the family members featured on the popular YouTube channel Patel, which was named after her. How are you doing today, Hayley?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
Good.
That's good. I'm glad.
How did you get the role in Chicken Girls?
Okay, so this is a fun little story. I didn't actually audition, which is interesting. I was on the set of Chicken Girls because my sister was on Chicken Girls before me. And apparently they liked me a lot. So they thought it would be fun if they just put me as a small role as on the show. I was the little sister of my sister's character, which is confusing. But I didn't audition, and it was, they just put me on it, and then I kind of just went with it. I was like, this is cool, this is fun, acting is fun. And it kind of just went from there.
Were you interested at first when you started, were you interested in acting?
Yeah, I was definitely interested in acting. I kind of grew up watching all of like my sister's friends be actors, and so that was kind of like, that seems cool and that seems fun. And it wasn't until I got placed on the show that I really started falling in love with acting. I don't know if I would have started auditioning for things if I wasn't cast in Chicken Girls, but I think that's cool and interesting that if I wasn't cast on Chicken Girls, then maybe I wouldn't have been as interested in acting as I am now.
What are your top 3 principles to success?
I think it took me a while to realize that when you want success, most of the time it's just trial and error. And it's like, you got to fail before you succeed and all of that stuff that you hear. And then I think it's very, very true. There is always rain before a rainbow, all of that stuff. And I think also, consistency, and last one, patience. You got to be super patient. If you're acting, I think when you're acting, trial and error always comes with auditioning, because what it is that you audition, and then if they don't like you for the role, they don't even tell you if they don't. So you just send in your tape, and then you won't hear anything back if they don't want to, cast you. So I think that's just even worse than someone telling you like constructive criticism. They just don't even say anything, which is, and I think that also comes with patience when auditioning. You got to be patient, you got to wait for a callback, and you got to be patient with your lines and all of that stuff. So I think those are the 3 things that will really help you out if you want to succeed.
Can you tell me a little bit more about those 3 principles?
Yeah, why don't we unpack them one by one? And
okay, sure.
This is where we try to get like examples or a story of one.
Yeah, I feel like every day I deal with, patience. Every time I get an audition. There was this one time I got an audition, and I did the audition, and it was pretty difficult. And then I sent it in, and then they asked if I could read another character. I was like, okay. So I read for the other character, and then I heard nothing back. And I was like, oh, that's a letdown. I really, really like the character, and I worked really, really hard on it. So that's like me kind of just being like, oh, come on, what a bummer. But consistency, it's just consistency. You got to be consistent when acting, because if you're not, then it's kind of just like you're going to lose track of what you're doing. And patience is just like, it's just a waiting game of acting. It's waiting to hear back. And if you don't, you kind of just move on and do your next audition. But I've had a lot of experiences where you just kind of think that you like really nailed the script, but then you're like, apparently not. But that also can strive you to be better. I think failure always is like, okay, we got to pick it up and do it again. You know, we can't give up and we just got to do it again. But it's kind of it.
Consistency, is that one that maybe you have some examples or?
Oh, yeah. I mean, with YouTube, I mean, we were uploading every single day. So that's pure consistency. And sometimes you just don't want to because it gets like, maybe it wasn't a good vlog that day. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't funny. So you're kind of like, maybe I'll just skip this one out. It was 7 years that we were posting every single day. And then that was just so much. And people liked them. So I think positive comments and people liking your videos always just helped with consistency. But I mean, that was just so much. I can't believe that 7 years for every single day. And, you know,
did you get a good pop of viewers from the beginning that kept you motivated? Because I look at some people and I'm like, I see how proactive they are, but they don't build a lot of a following. And you're like, all right, like
I mean, we didn't start off like for like views. I know that's such like, we didn't start off for views, but we really didn't. We started off because my dad was in the military and we had like a bunch of family scattered around the world. So we wanted to just produce vlogs for them so they could see us from across the world. And while my dad was in the military. So then when we did that, they started watching, our family started watching, and then other people started watching. And we were like, and then more people started watching and we were like, okay, let's do it. So we like, you know, kind of just went from there. And it was all like a little happy little accident. But, and then we were like, this is so much fun. Let's do it for 7 more years. So that's kind of how it happened.
What was something that you were struggling with, like for getting, like for your YouTube channel?
I mean, YouTube is always such a hard thing because when it comes with like good positive comments, but that also comes with like hate comments. And it's kind of inevitable for you to get, you know, hate. So that's always something that I struggle with, because while there's like hundreds of thousands of people telling you, keep doing these vlogs, they're really, really good, we love them. There's also like other people who are like, stop, we don't like it, just like hate. So that always kind of just puts me down and kind of like, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I should listen to them, but I don't think you ever should. I think there's reasons that people are saying this stuff. They're either bored or whatever. But I think I struggled with the most like hate comments. And everyone tells you just not to listen to them. And that's a good advice to give. But it's kind of hard to not listen to them when it's like right in your face and it's almost every other comment. My advice for anyone would just to be, take it in order to build you. Like take what people are giving you and be like, prove them wrong, almost like prove them wrong, get successful. And then you can like, be like, guess what? I made it to the top. And yeah, I would just say prove them wrong.
I almost feel like those people that do hate on you are the ones that just like, they're not creators. Like they're not capable of like, that's what happens when you don't have goals or can't do anything yourself. Yeah. They're not technically successful people. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I honestly think that those people like are just in the room and they're either bored or they're just upset and they're like, let's go write some hate comments on somebody's post. I also think people just think that there's no consequences or that it doesn't affect people because it's just words, and it's not like it's cyber bullying basically, and it's over the internet. So they're like, I'm not doing this in real life. There's not going to be any repercussions. It's fine. But in reality, these people are being affected by it. I'm being affected by it. But as I said, you can take what everyone's saying or what hate comments are saying about you, and you can use it almost as constructive criticism, even though it isn't, because constructive criticism is like nicer. But you can take it and just build from it, I think.
So there may be some feedback that you can actually consider.
When everyone tells you to, because there's a lot of people who are like, ignore the haters. And I don't really agree with that. I don't think you can. I think it's very, very hard. I think you can ignore a few, but when it like is just invading your feed and filling your comments up, I don't think you can. And I think a better alternative is to just work from it. And maybe what they're saying is true, and maybe it is constructive criticism. I love constructive criticism. I think it's good for you. I think it's okay to admit when you did something wrong. And I think when you can do something better. But when it's pure hate comments, just be like, prove them wrong. So
It's really good advice because like the people that actually like comment, like post hate comments, they don't have anything. Like all they do is sit in their room thinking it's not going to hurt you. But in reality, it does, even if it's just words.
yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%.
Should we talk about the other one? Fail to succeed.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's always trial and error. It's always anything will just like not put you down, but like you'll make a mistake and then you'll be like, okay, I made a mistake, never doing that again. Wrong. You should, I think failure should want to make you work harder, but for some people it doesn't, and I can understand that. So when failure is just like, okay, I failed, never doing that again, I think you should just at least try once more. And if you really don't enjoy it, then fine. But I would just say never give up. Learn from your failure, kind of just roll with it. And I mean, it's always going to be trial and error. You're never not going to make a mistake in this industry. And all you can do is learn from it.
I'm curious about this one because a big thing I'm trying to encourage with all three of my kids is to go try stuff. Try as many things as you can, figure out what you like and don't like.
Yeah.
And I feel like I appreciate more the older I get. And now I'm like learning to ice skate. I skied for the first time this year. I'm learning how to golf now, like just trying different things. And I feel like sometimes kids are just resistant to it. Yeah,
I agree. I mean, because when I used to do gymnastics, and this is a good example. That's what I'm saying. Like if you fell on the floor when you were doing like a press handstand or something, or some type of activity, and then you're like, I would always be like, okay, gotta go home, not doing this anymore. It was embarrassing. I fell, I made a mistake. Now I want to quit. But I wouldn't have gotten as far as I did in gymnastics if I didn't do it after I fell. Like when you quit, let's say you quit, I had such a good experience. It was so much fun. Gymnastics was the time of my life, and I made new friends from it. I wouldn't have had that amazing experience if the first day I fell at gym class, the first day, if I quit that day, I wouldn't have had so many amazing new friends and so many amazing new experiences. And that's why you just gotta try, because you might miss out on a new hobby or activity or experience. So
even if you really think it's something you don't like or something you wouldn't like, you'd still push yourself to try it.
I mean, I would only if I'm having fun while I'm doing it. Like, let's say I was like having a lot of fun doing something and then I fell and I was like, that kind of sucks and it was embarrassing. And then I left. And then I was like, well, that was fun, but I made a mistake and now I don't want to do it again. Okay. I would probably try again that next day. And it's hard to say because you're like, what if I didn't like it? But it's also like, what if you did? What if you become the best ice skater in the world? Or what if you become the best golfer in the world? And it's also just fun stuff like that is okay to fail at. Like, that's okay to like, you can mess up. You can mess up and that's fine. And then you can try again.
Great mindset.
What was the best mistake you've ever made?
Good question. It's a really good question. Not that I haven't made a lot of mistakes, but usually when it's a good mistake, I just call it an accident. I just call it like an accident. It was fine. It was just a happy little accident. But that's a good question. I wouldn't call making like not making YouTube, but filming YouTube videos a mistake, but I would call it an accident. I mean, that's the best answer you're gonna get. It's just like,
I think that's sort of like the right vein. It's like you sort of did something where you thought it was a mistake. It may have been like the YouTube thing when you got like people following. It's like, oh, we didn't plan on this, but then your mistake led to something else. Like somebody had it where they got fired, but then they ended up starting a business that became successful. So it's like, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, I just wouldn't, I don't think anyone should like call something that was good, that turned out to be good, a mistake. I think you should call it like a little happy accident. I know Bob Ross said that. Bob Ross says that in his videos, and now I'm like quoting him. Quoted Bob Ross, by the way. I'm not plagiarizing. But yeah, I think probably YouTube was an accident it was an accident and it turned out to literally be my life. So I would never call that a mistake.
What advice would you give to the next generation of leaders?
Wow, especially because so many kids have such a big platform now, like mostly all of them. Every little kid is on Instagram now. So for the next generation, I bet all of them are going to be more famous than we are now. But because everything in the next generation, there's going to be more of everything. And I would say, I feel like people are struggling now because I feel like we're growing up a little bit too fast. And especially for you, you're so young and you're so smart. I feel like for the next generation, everyone should just like try to stay a kid a little bit longer. Try to focus on your childhood, while also focusing on what you're going to do in the future. But I also think present is so much more important. You got to focus on right now before you focus on any of the other stuff. It's just going to stress you out more. So I just would say best advice, just try to be a kid a little bit longer and try to have a childhood a little bit longer, because you're going to lose that so fast in the industry. It's literally going to go bye-bye. And you're just going to be like, where did it go? I want to be a kid a little bit longer. So I would just say, stay youthful. Yeah.
What about being a kid would you think is like the most important to hang on to?
It's just, I feel like the kids these days are so mature, and that's good. Being mature is a good thing, but it's also like, there's no room for these kids to mess up. And I think as you're a kid, I think anyone can mess up and make a mistake, but I think as you're a kid, you're just so, you're kind of naive. And in this industry, you cannot be naive to them. No naiveness. Okay. You just got to be super smart on top of it. I think that's too much to expect of such a young generation. So I mean, I would just hold on to, because childhood is so much fun. You just get to do everything. And when you're in the industry, you don't. I would just say hold on to childhood. I mean, what about it?
It's like you describe it as freedom.
Yeah,
freedom.
You have
like unlimited freedom.
Yeah, you just, correct me if I'm wrong, but as children, we have so much fun. We go out to recess. We like play around with our friends. We don't really care about what everyone else thinks. But when you get older, you start to care and you start to worry about what other people think. Just hold on to not really caring about what other people think and whatever people think about you and say about you. Kind of just be like, well, kind of what I said with people hating. As I said, I'm kind of contradicting myself because I'm like, ignore it or like, don't let people, what they say get to you. And I'm kind of contradicting myself because I was just like, ignore it. But I think you can be yourself and not let what other people say get to you while also ignoring. I think it's okay for you to turn off your internet and take a second and be a kid and just take a second. I think that's advice for the next generation and this generation. Take a second off of your phone, don't read the comments, and just be yourself and have as much fun as you can while you have fun.
Thank you for being on our podcast. Is there any social media that you have that people can follow you on?
Yeah, if you want. I have my Instagram that you can go check out, and it's not a social media platform, but I do have a book coming out, 3 books coming out. And then the first one is coming out on July 19th. So you can pre-order it if you want. And yeah, that's kind of all I have to plug. But
what's the book about? Why should people check it out?
So it's called The Hayley Mysteries, hence me. And it's just kind of like a Nancy Drew type book. It's very kind of like fun stories to tell to little kids. And it's very, very cute, very funny, and it's a little bit scary. I mean, not too scary, but it's a little bit scary, and I've always loved scary stuff. So it's like a very mystery book for you to read, and I think it's just a really good book for kids.
Cool. We'll have to look out for that.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, well, thanks for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.